Okay, I think we're ready to start. Welcome everyone to this AION Labs Biomedics webinar on AI-powered drug discovery of new high-affinity small molecules. My name is Christian Tidona. I'm a scientist, entrepreneur, and also the founder of the Biomedics Institute in Heidelberg, Germany, and New Haven, Connecticut. And I'm joined today by two friends from AION Labs who will introduce themselves very quickly. Yair, please go first.
Hi, everybody. Yair Benita. I'm the CTO of AION Labs. I'm responsible for the scientific aspects, defining the problems with the pharma, working with all of you to identify the right founders, and also working with the founders on the companies they created. My background is scientific, mostly in bioinformatics in the oncology field. Worked with big pharma, biotechs, and pharma AI companies.
Thank you, Yair. Next is Mati.
Hi, nice to meet you all. My name is Mati. I have the honor of being the CEO of AION Labs, and happy to meet with everyone here, and look forward to hopefully seeing you at the bootcamp in Israel in September, and being able to welcome you to our wonderful country, and to be able to help you build a startup potentially.
Cool. Thanks, Mati. So before we start, just a couple of housekeeping information. Throughout this entire webinar, please use the Q&A box. You can type in questions at any time, and we're going to go through those questions during Q&A, or some questions even in between the presentations. You can upvote the questions you think are most important, so we are going to go through them first. And also you will find links to further information on the call for application in the chat if you're interested to look at it in more detail on our webpage. And with that, I'm starting the webinar with a quick presentation about the Biomedics Institute. So let me quickly try and share my screen. There we go. Okay, hope it's coming up. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Good. So, as I mentioned in the beginning, I founded Biomedics, and we founded Biomedics in Heidelberg, Germany in 2013. So roughly 10 years ago, as a biomedical research institute. It's embedded in the campus of the university, and also starting this year, we have a new Biomedics Institute at close to the campus of Yale University in New Haven, Connecticut. The institute is very much based on combining the best of both worlds, academia and industry, and we do this using a new innovation model, which is using global crowdsourcing and local incubation of the best talents and ideas. And we've actually published this new model in Nature Biotech in 2015. At the base of biomedics, there's one simple question: what if we could rethink the innovation process in pharma? First of all, what if we could articulate and publish the biggest research and development challenges? Then, what if we invite the world's best talents to provide ideas? What if we identify the best of the best in a bootcamp, and then relocate the winners to a world-leading innovation hub, and then co-develop solutions together with experienced mentors from academia and industry? And this all works through our crowdsourcing platform. So whenever we have one of those big challenges, we publish them on our crowdsourcing platform worldwide at the best universities and research institutions, and invite early career scientists, founders, early young entrepreneurs, anyone who wants to transition from academic research to something else, to come up with solutions in the form of ideas how to solve this particular problem. And then usually we get between 200 and 300 project proposals from 60, 70, 80 countries, so it's truly global. Then we run an innovation bootcamp for 5 days where we invite the 15 best candidates to associate in teams and combine all those ideas to something we would call really a truly brilliant project proposal. And then they present on the last day in front of the jury, and then the winner will then be relocated with his or her family to our institute in Heidelberg or New Haven, where they implement their research project with a major research grant on average between $3 and $5 million for 3 to 5 years. And since 2013, we've been working with 9 different pharmaceutical companies and AION Labs in Israel. And in Heidelberg, we have started 21 research groups in deep biology and in various therapeutic areas such as oncology, immunology, autoimmunity, respiratory, neurosciences, sensory development. It's very interdisciplinary. We've also published in peer-reviewed journals, so far more than 50 publications. This is also very important for us. And also we are educating. We have completed more than 60 bachelor, master, and PhD theses. In Heidelberg and also in New Haven, we have a very strong focus on deep disease biology and artificial intelligence. What's very important for our model to work is our core values, because we want to create an ecosystem where top talents from around the world are very creative and very productive. And the first one is cross-leverage. We inspire and motivate each other to unleash our full potential. And that's very important for us. So if you come to Heidelberg and visit, you'll see that in every major room on the wall. And it means we want to work with people who are not just scientifically brilliant, but also who have embraced the concept of growing by helping others. So it's a very clear policy that we want people to share their ideas, to help each other. And it's a place where it's not an environment for people who are toxic or not sharing their ideas. Second one is cross-pollinate. We embrace diversity as it is the source of innovation. So if you come to our sites, you will see that everyone is different. They come from all kinds of cultures, backgrounds, genders, technological backgrounds, academia, industry, and it's good like that. We really enjoy working with people from all around the world, and the more people you put into a single room and let them look upon the same problem, the higher the probability that true innovation will happen. And of course, third is aim high. Our goal is to enable a new generation of targeted therapies. So we put a lot of effort into building those local ecosystems. And of course, we expect that the talents that join us really make maximum use of their 3 to 5 years at biomedics. And then we help them to advance to the next dream position in academia or industry. This is our core platform, which is called Biomedics Career Space. This is where you can register and where you get exposed to all our calls for application at all our sites, and also to all our job offers at all the different sites. And currently, there's around 10,000 early career researchers and also founders on this platform. Where do all these talents come from before they join biomedics? This is just a couple of logos from the universities where people came before they joined. So in the beginning, we had the questions, can we attract top talent from around the world? But now after 10 years, I think I can say, yes, we can. Where do they go once they leave? About 50% go to industry and about 50% go back to academia. And this is possible because, as I mentioned, we also publish, and quite a few of our former group leaders are now professors in major academic institutions. Now, coming to our webinar today is our partnership with AION Labs, where we work together with 4 different pharmaceutical companies: Merck, Pfizer, Teva, AstraZeneca, and also AWS, so Amazon as a tech partner, and Israel Biotech Fund, the VC. And jointly, we're focusing here not on building research groups, but on building startups. And also, we are entirely focused on AI for drug discovery and development. And this is also very different from our general model. We have multiple sponsors per project usually. So all these partners are jointly investing and supporting all those startups. And our 5-year objective, and we started last year, is to seed and incubate 20 startups in the field of AI for drug discovery and development. So that's it from my side, quick introduction to biomedics. And of course, we're very happy to have you in this call, and hopefully Yair and Mati can convince you to join AION Labs in Israel. And with that, I hand over to Yair.
Thank you, Christian. Hi, everybody. Allow me to share my slides here. Okay, see that okay? So I will walk you through the problem statement, the challenge we defined, I'll basically, just to explain a little bit about our process. So we basically work very closely with our pharma companies to come up with challenges that AI could potentially solve that will be significant in the drug discovery process. We go through we sit together, all the 4 pharma companies, and we actually vote. And this came up as one of the challenges, maybe initially surprising because there are many companies in the space, but this is basically about identifying small molecules for drug targets. So as you know, drug discovery is a funnel. You start with many potential molecules in high throughput screening processes. This is the classical approach. And you keep selecting molecules and adding more and more assays until you reach the ones that you want. It's a very lengthy, expensive process that is also limited by the size of the library. And of course, it works, but it's tough and expensive. And we think with technology, we can do this much better. So what is currently going on in the space? So I'm going to address mostly the computational aspect. So of course, as I said, this is a problem that has been around for a while. There are many companies in the space. Pharma is using many tools in the space. Mostly there are 2 approaches. So people use one or the other or a combination of the 2. So you can focus on the target. You start with a known structure. If you have a good pocket for where you know you need to fit a small molecule, you can use tools like docking approaches. There are many virtual screen tools that work with that. You could also focus on the drug. So if there are, or maybe not, the drug is not a good word, the compounds. If you know of 10 or 15 different compounds that actually bind and block the target, you can use them to model to build a model of what is needed and attack the problem from a compound perspective. And of course, you can combine the 2. So this is what is out there in the field. The challenge is that in most cases, those approaches can't be applied, right? And why? So this is the scenario we're working with. And that scenario is actually about 50% of what our pharma partners are doing in their chemistry space. So first, the structure of the target is unknown. If there's no crystal structure, we don't know what that is. Often the homology to other proteins is less than 40%, so it's not ideal for creating a structure. The binding pocket is unknown, so we don't know where we need to bind exactly to activate or block the protein. And finally, we don't know of any binding molecules. They haven't been found or proposed. So we're starting with a quite difficult scenario, which doesn't fit the input criteria of the methods that I showed before. So this is the challenge we would like to address, finding molecules in this scenario. So what do we envision as a desired solution? What we will have is the target protein sequence, the amino acid sequence, and we will also have a small molecule library. Potentially, it will be our library and not by our, I mean the pharma's library, and not the full chemical space that you can imagine, mostly because it's very difficult to synthesize molecules and you would like to be able to fairly quickly validate. So the library will be predefined. And what we expect as an output is a list of potential hits ranked by their binding affinity. Okay, so the idea is if we work from the top down, we fairly quickly will identify a few pretty good binders. That was the desired solution. So a few important points to consider. One, keep in mind, and when I talk to people, often the structure seems like a solved problem. In many cases it is, but due to the low homology, you should consider that predicting the structure may be inaccurate. And if the structure is inaccurate, it may not be a good fit for docking. So we do realize that there are many virtual screening tools out there, but we consider them, especially for these scenarios, to have poor results. So if you have a method or a technology that you're considering that requires known binding compounds, and you're thinking, well, I'll just do a virtual screen and I'll come up with a few, even if they're not great. It's a good starting point. You might get some pushback on that. And my third point is you should consider the competitive landscape. So it's not only what's available in the literature, but also what other companies are doing, right? So if a company already has an offering that's very compelling, you will have to explain why it would make sense to start a new company. So just naming a few, but there are many, right? So there are companies like Schrödinger, they already sell software to pharma, so you should be familiar with what they have and what they sell. There are companies like Atomwise, who has been around for several years, working with pharma, claiming to have AI tools, so you should look into what's available out there. And there are upcoming companies with more cutting-edge techniques like Charm Therapeutics, I believe from the Baker Lab, that also has some AI tools. So you should be familiar with what is going on out there in the world. So we don't necessarily want to replicate what is already out there. We can test it, but we are looking for something that is different and interesting to build together. Okay, what can you expect in terms of data? So of course, in this space, pharma has a lot of data. They've been screening and testing small molecules for a very long time, and that data is typically stored digitally, so it's well organized, but you're not going to get access to the full chemical data of a pharma company. So you will have to be specific on what you need. Tell us what you need to make your method work, and we can tell you what you can get, and it will not be all the data, but it should be something sufficient for you. I would recommend separate the training phase from the production phase. So what kind of data you need for training, and then if there is anything you need from the pharma for your production mode, that basically means when you're ready to deliver, what would that look like? And I should say that we will initially work with public data. There are several large databases out there. Certainly for compounds, there are many. For bound compounds, maybe a few less, but there's definitely data. The reason we want to work initially with public data is to allow the pharma companies to work together. You can imagine that if now you want to work with AstraZeneca or Pfizer or Merck on a specific drug, then they cannot collaborate between them. That step will come later. So initially, we will have a library of compounds that can be synthesized and purchased. So something that is available out there that is not a private library of a pharma company, plus some targets that maybe are of less interest to the pharma for testing and validation. And as a second step, we expect the company to have specific projects individually with Pfizer, with AstraZeneca, with Merck, for each one on their own specific targets. And at that point, there will not be any collaboration between the pharma companies, because it's a competitive space. So that's in terms of expectations. Now, I did compile a few notes on what would be the benefit of doing it with us, because some of you maybe are super talented and tomorrow you can raise a lot of money from investors and you can design your own algorithm. So why come here, right? So the first thing, which to me is one of the most important, you will be benchmarked against the real world pharma projects, and there's no other better validation. Typically, people go with retrospective data, but usually the results are good, but it's not a good predictor for how you will do on a novel target you've never seen. So here we expect at some point, once you get started, that you'll work with the pharma company on the targets they are developing. They will do their own thing, you will do your own thing, and then it will be compared. So that's really the best way to do it. The second aspect is, because you're working in development mode with the pharma, they will build trust gradually in your product as it matures. And that is really important for this space. There's another point, which is you'll be working with multiple teams. Different pharma companies maybe have different approaches, so that will already prepare you for what it will look like to scale and not optimize for a single customer. And the last point is we do work very closely with AWS, and having AWS and the pharma companies under one roof allows us to discuss how to build the data platform, the data infrastructure, so that they can share their data safely. You can deploy your software safely. You can train on their data and without them having all sorts of concerns. These are processes we're starting already right now, both in the antibody space, in the chemistry space. How will that data platform look like? These are typically projects that are too big for a startup to address alone, and we have the capability to do that. So all of those are benefits to consider for working with us that, in my mind, go way beyond funding opportunities. So let me walk you a little bit through the process. So our call for challenge and what we call bootcamp, maybe also a type of workshop, is a way to identify the right founders. So the first thing is we do set a date until which you can apply. In this case, it's July 18. You have to decide if you want to apply as the person who leads the startup or the person who would like to be a co-founder. And that's really up to you on where you feel more comfortable. And we consider those applications separately. Okay, so for the group leaders, the pharma mentors, the team that came up with the challenge, and we have specific people both from Pfizer, AZ, and Merck, and also Israel Biotech Fund, which is a VC. We review all these applications and we rank them and pick the top 5 group leaders who will come to Israel to present their ideas. We also pick the top 10 scientist co-founders. So in total, we have 15 people. Yeah, sorry, that I already covered number 2. The third part, so what really happens here at the bootcamp? So first, people can come as a team. So if you are 2, 3, you're welcome to join as a team. We have a mechanism for that. We typically don't, more than 3 is a bit too much. So 3 people is the maximum for a team. But you can also apply as individuals. And once you come on the first day, it's sort of an introduction day with a lot of team building exercises together with the pharma and also us and the candidates. But you each present your, in 10 minutes, about yourself, my life, my work, my passion. You're also expected to present your ID, the plan. And then you each basically rank each other on who do I mostly want to work with on a team. And the way this works is if you want to be with somebody and somebody wants to be with you, you're most likely to end up on one team. Christian has this great algorithm that works out the optimal solution based on the ranking. Then we have basically 5 teams, and what we do is we work very intensely on the plan. We will have multiple people on site from the pharma, from AWS, who will give you feedback and keep challenging you. But basically, most of the time during the 5 days is stress testing your plan and optimizing it. This is what we do, and you'll be amazed at how much you can achieve and accomplish with good feedback over a period of 5 days. And once the bootcamp is at the end of the bootcamp, you basically present a 15-minute presentation to our investment committee. It's composed from senior people in the pharma and at AWS. It's a 15-minute presentation. They have 15 minutes for questions. And then the investment committee will pick the winning team. We do not announce immediately, but we announce shortly, several days after. There will be one winner, who's the group lead. The group lead is free to choose anybody from the bootcamp. There's no restriction to only choose people from your team as co-founders, or you can decide not to have any co-founders and hire later. It's up to you. But basically, we're getting you started to launch a company. So finally, I think, why should you come to a bootcamp if you feel, some people feel it's kind of an maybe uncomfortable exercise, it's a little bit difficult, maybe it's not exactly what you have in mind, but basically we've done this 5 times now. Actually, I personally did also one with Christian at Biomedics, so 6 boot camps. The main 2 benefits I see is, one is it's the team building. We get to know you, the AION Labs team, you get to know us, and most importantly, it provides a lot of bonding from for the mentors in the pharma companies, and they come from different companies. So you can imagine people from Pfizer, AstraZeneca, and Merck will be here on site. They will get to know each other. We will start to get to know you. And after 5 days, everybody is committed to the new company that is being formed. So this is a really critical benefit. The other benefit is that it's stress testing your plan in a way that I haven't seen. And you're forced to have very quick iterations and coming up with better and better solutions until the pharma coaches are convinced. And the outcome is always amazing. The difference between day 5 to day 1 is really difficult to imagine. Everybody is always surprised, including the people who participate. So even if you have, if you feel a bit uncomfortable due to the boot camps, I think the benefits really are worth it, are worth getting over any fear. So just a summary slide. If you win, what do you get? So we offer up to $2 million for 4 years. So it's $1 million as when you win for the first year, and there's a milestone after 2 years and another $1 million. It's not a lot of money to really maintain a company for 4 years, but we will help you get additional money, but it's enough money to get started. We do offer the office space and labs for free, so you will be sitting in our building at AION Labs. It's the hall that is behind Mati's background. AWS will provide credits to their cloud and will provide access to their engineers. They actually have a team supporting us. They've been amazing, both working with our companies, but also helping us now go through creating the data platforms. Our VC partners will give you access, will help you with access to funding, but most importantly, we'll make sure this is a real company. It can be a commercially viable company and will help you with all the business aspects. Of course, on the left, our pharma partners will have access to the data, to the people, and to the way they work and develop drugs, to validation systems. Those are super critical points. You will have access to Biomedics and Christian and his team. Christian, we call him the Rabbi of Innovation. He's been really fine-tuning this model. He's doing this really well and has been a huge supporter of the model. And you will be in Israel, which is a very vibrant ecosystem. Mati will talk about it a bit more. There are great people here, entrepreneurial spirit, and it's a great place to be. And with that, I will turn it to Mati to tell you a little bit about Israel.
Just one point. Thank you very much, Yair, Rabbi of Innovation. Deep appreciation. Just one quick point. Please type your questions into the Q&A. One participant got them. You've typed it into the chat. That's the disadvantage, is that people cannot upvote the question. So if you could just copy paste it into the Q&A box, and then during Q&A we will go through it. And for everybody else, please collect your questions already during the talk. And with that, I would like to hand over to Mati.
Thank you, Christian. Hopefully everyone can see my slide. And I'll just start out by inviting anyone that would like to speak with us at AION Labs, either with Yair, myself, or the rest of our team. We have several other team members that are here on with us. You can feel free to reach out to us. I put my email in the webinar chat, so really it's an open invitation. Anyone that wants to reach out and ask us any questions is welcome to do so. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about Israel, and of course we can go into it in the Q&A. I see that there's some Israelis online as well, so hopefully this is coming as no surprise to you. But Israel, we see it, at least, especially in the biotech space, is a great place for you to help to live, and also to help build your new company and your career and advance your career. And just to share why we think that is, so specifically, you know, we're offering here up to 4 years of a fully funded startup. So when you win a boot camp of ours, You start with 4 years of funding. You're working also in Israel in a very vibrant startup community, what's called the Startup Nation throughout the world. But specifically in the health tech area, we have digital health tech data going back decades of a very diverse population. And you're going to be working with your potential future partners and customers from day one with the built-in product market fit, with all the mentoring that we're offering in AION Labs. So it's really an opportunity for you to build your future and your career here in Israel. Of course, beyond those elements, it's also fun. It's a fun place to live for those of you that have not had the chance to visit. So just by being accepted to our bootcamp, you at least get to come visit here. And if you're not, and if you're able to win, you get to live in a country that has well over 300 days of sun, and with global warming, that number is increasing, unfortunately. But you do have over 300 days of sun throughout the year. And from a life perspective, so there's universal healthcare and a very good healthcare system as well. Great culinary scene, a lot of tourist and historical sites that we all know, but also fun tourism beyond the historical and more modern society. It's a very open and friendly social scene, very progressive, very pluralistic. And there is a large community of expats and people that have come from abroad and transplanted and immigrated and moved their lives either for career purposes or life purposes over to Israel. So it's hard to pick up Hebrew because everyone here speaks English, especially in Tel Aviv. And the international schools do exist for all ages if you have children. And we are, of course, connected. We had at our last bootcamp a participant that came originally from Thailand, and she now lives in the Bay Area, and she was shocked that Israel has multiple flights per day to Bangkok, because living in San Francisco, she cannot go to Bangkok directly. So Israel, we have flights to pretty much every hub in the East and every hub in Europe and every hub in the West, as well as in Africa. So we're very centrally located, and it's easy to reach your families if you've moved over here, or your friends, in a very quick flight. And from a working perspective, it is a great environment, very open, flat, very non-formal cultural society. You will never need to wear a tie if you come to Israel. And even when you meet with the CEO of Pfizer, who we hosted here last year, it's a very dynamic, flexible workspace where really the meritocracy is what drives. So if you are very talented, you can thrive and you can advance no matter what your background is. And it's a very open society where we encourage people to speak up, and we encourage risk-taking, including failing and failing quickly in your projects, and then to learn from it and move on. And there's a deep cultural respect here for the innovation and scientific and technological elements across all spectrums. The superstars in Israel are really the high-tech and biotech entrepreneurs here in Israel. And they're almost like well-respected universally throughout the country, and no matter where they come from in that aspect. And I'm not going to go through everything on this slide, but you could see that ultimately Israel is a very open, young society, and with a lot of vibrant companies that have been established and going on to continue to grow year after year. We have more and more success stories with regards to our Israeli companies that we're very proud of. It's a small country, but it's a small country population-wise that packs its punch well above its weight in science and technology. You can see all the rankings here on the slide. We have excellent academic and technological scientific capabilities here in Israel at a world-leading pace compared to every country throughout the world. And we specifically at AION Labs are really at the center of Israel. So a 4-hour drive to the north takes you to not the best skiing in the world, but it can get you to ski. And 4 hours to the south gets you to some of the best diving in the world for those that like to dive. And you have the desert in the south. You have the whole coastal scene on the Mediterranean towards on our western border. And Jerusalem is just less than an hour drive from where we are in AION Labs, and the Dead Sea is an hour and a half from where we are. So we're really, as AION Labs situated in the center of the country and very accessible to anywhere that you would want to travel or live. And specifically, the reason why we chose AION Labs to be based out of Rehovot is it's really the scientific center and biotech center of Israel. So we are literally across the street from the Weizmann Institute. It's less than a 5-minute walk from our site to theirs. Have a strong collaboration with the Weizmann Institute. They're one of the, for those that are not familiar, the Weizmann Institute is one of the world leading academic institutions and research institutions in the world. Really it's something that we try to foster, that type of collaboration and partnerships with the principal investigators there and with the talented people and young communities there, and have a great and strong partnership with them going back to since we launched, and Christian's even on their board of directors, so even that much stronger than that. And our offices, as you can see, we've invested a lot in building a very strong culture for our offices in a very open environment, a great place to work out of, a great place to be able to bounce ideas off one another, and really to be able to advance your scientific capabilities going forward, and to cross-pollinate, as Christian mentioned before, between the startups, to be able to work together and to be able to help thrive. And of course, last but definitely not least, I personally live in Tel Aviv, commute to Rehovot every day. In most countries, that would be considered a suburb of Tel Aviv. It's 15 kilometers away. Tel Aviv literally is a city that never sleeps. At any point in the day, all the cafes are full. At any point in night, all the bars are full. And it's really an excellent place to live, offering everything you would want for all ages, right on the beach. So I'm going to pause here. Happy to address any questions. Again, my email is here. My email is in the chat. Yair and I and the rest of our team here, we are extremely accessible. Anyone that wants to reach out to, we're happy to speak with you one-on-one. Take us up on that. We commit to doing that. And thank you, Christian, for being the master MC again.
Thank you very much, Mati.